Okay, we will proceed to our main topic for today, which is absorbing Markov chains. Okay, so for absorbing Markov chains, as I have mentioned to you last meeting, okay, you the Markov chain will consist of a combination of transient and absorbing states. Okay, such that if you set up your one-step transition matrix, okay, you will be able to come up with transient state number one, transient state number two, and so on. And then you should be able to arrange it in such a way that you put all the transient states together and you put all the absorbing states together. Okay, so this is how it will look like. So you need to be able to travel from or to transition from one transient state to another. So if T1 is a transient state, T2 is a transient state, you need to be able to do the from and to from T1 and T2, and then and so on. And then you put the absorbing states here, A1, A2, and so on. Okay, so by doing this, by rearranging, okay, the states and grouping them into transient and absorbing states, then you will be able to divide this transition matrix into four quadrants. Okay, so that's why it is labeled here. These are transient states, absorbing states here. So you will see corresponding transient states, absorbing states. Okay, and here, again, you'll have transient states here, okay, and absorbing states here corresponding to this one. Okay, so when you finally divide this transition matrix into four quadrant, we will now label this as matrix Q, matrix R, matrix O, which corresponds to a null vector, and an identity matrix here. So all absorbing Markov chains can be divided into these four quadrants, no? Into these four submatrices, Q, R, O, and I. As you can see, the way for you to determine whether you have an absorbing state is if all of the rows, if in a row, okay, here, for example, you will see that all of them are zeros except for one value, which is 1. So this simply means that once you enter this state, there is a 100% probability that it will always stay in this state and never leave that state anymore. Okay, so in the same way here, you will see that you have a transition that has a probability of 1 and the rest of the transitions are 0. So here, the rest of the transitions are 0. There is only one transition that is possible, which is an absorbing state. Okay, so first you need to identify what are the absorbing states, what are the transient states, and arrange them in this manner. Okay, in this manner. So once you're able to do that, then we can begin solving problems on absorbing Markov chains. Okay, so let's move. The first thing that we will solve for in absorbing Markov chains is EIJ. Okay, and this can actually be represented, EIJ can be represented as matrix E. Okay, matrix E. So now let's look at the definition of EIJ. So remember, we have transient states and we have absorbing states. So EIJ actually measures on the left side of your screen the average, because we're dealing with probabilities. So it's always an average. It's the average number of times that transient state J will happen given that process is in transient state I. So take note that both I and J, okay, this is the source state, source transient state. This is the transient state that you are coming from, okay? And this is the transient state that you will be passing through, okay? Okay, so therefore, in EIJ, both I and J are actually transient states. Your source transient state is your I, whereas J is the transient state that you will pass through before you get absorbed into an absorbing state. Remember, if you enter an absorbing state, you're never going to leave that state again. And hence, you can never go back to that transient state. Okay, so therefore, EIJ measures the number of times the process will actually pass through J coming from I before it gets absorbed. Okay, so if later on we'll have an example, okay, we'll have an example for you to understand the difference between EIJ, and then we will have the next one will be DI, and then we will have AIJ. So to differentiate all of those, we will use an example for clarity. Okay, but I hope this is clear to everyone. EIJ simply represents the number of transitions or the number of times that you will have to pass through another transient state before you finally get absorbed into an absorbing state. Okay, so as I've said, you can actually use just similar to the MIJ formula and the FIJ formula that I discussed last meeting. You can actually use a recursive or an iterative formula, okay, where you have to solve EIJ several times. You have to set up a lot of EIJ equations in order for you to solve EIJ, just like what we did in the previous example for MIJ. Or you can simply use this matrix calculation for EIJ. And I would prescribe this one as it is easier for you to calculate by setting up matrix E. Okay, so again, the premise of matrix E, okay, is that you will now have all the transient states listed here, T1, T2, and so on. And then you'll have T1, T2, and so on. So for matrix E, we're just talking about transient states, okay? So therefore, we would just want to know how long or how many times, sorry, not how long, but how many times you would have to pass through a transient state before you get absorbed, right? So therefore, the elements here would be E11, okay, E12, and so on. And this will be E21, E22, and so on. Okay, so matrix E will have the small e's, okay, from transient state to another transient state. Okay, so to interpret, what does E21 mean? Okay, E21. What does E21 mean? Okay, E21 simply means that you are in transient state number 2 and you are counting the number, the average number of times you would have to pass through transient state 1 before you finally get absorbed. Okay, so as I've said, the first subscript, okay, the first subscript is your source transient state. So for EI2, E12, it means that you are in transient state 1 and you are counting from transient state 1, you are counting the number of times you have to pass through transient state 2 before you finally get absorbed into an absorbing state. Okay, so this is what the matrix is all about. And to calculate, you will see on the left side of your screen that the working equation is E equals to the identity matrix plus Q. Q is this one here, okay, times E. As I've said, it's an iterative formula. That's why you see E on the left side and you see E on the right side. Okay, so again, just following the matrix manipulation on the left side of your screen, you will, of course, transpose QE to the left side and leave I on the right side. And then once you factor out E, you will have identity minus Q equal to I. And then to solve for E, which is what we're after, it is just equal to I over I minus Q, or I minus Q inverse. So here, for you to be able to solve for the matrix E, you need the original transition matrix, okay? You need this and you need this. You subtract these two and get the inverse to get matrix E. And when you get matrix E, you get all the elements, no? All the movements from one transient state to another transient state. And you're able now to count the number of times that transient J would be passed through before getting absorbed. Okay, so therefore, you need to go back to your, I don't know what you call that subject, Indumat or IMEMAT or IEMAT. I don't know what the course code is, but you have to go back to your course where you were taught how to get the inverse of a matrix. Okay, of course, your calculator, I think, is able to do that. But if you want to know how to do it, then you have to go back to either your IMEMAT, Indumat, or IEOPER 1, where you did a lot of inverse calculations for the revised simplex method, okay, of solving LP models. Okay, so if this formula is clear, then we are now able to solve EIJ. Okay, this is solved. So let's go to an example. Another one that we would have to solve for absorbing Markov chains is DI. And DI is just a sub row or a sub vector found in matrix E. Okay, sub vector or sub row found, no need for the word sub, actually it's a vector or a row found in E. Okay, so DI simply counts the total number of transitions until absorption. Okay, the subscript here is your source transient state. In EIJ, okay, in EIJ, you have a source transient state. You have a source transient state I, and the transient state that you will pass through before being absorbed is specified as J. Okay, the difference between EIJ and DI, okay, is that in DI, you do not care which transient state you pass through before getting absorbed. For as long as the source transient state is I, you can pass through all the other possible transient states before getting absorbed. And you are counting the number of transitions or the number of times that you have to pass through all the different transient states before getting absorbed. So that's the difference. Okay. So here, your J actually, which is not present in DI, your J covers all the other transient states that you can pass through before being absorbed. Whereas in EIJ, you are specifically saying that you're counting the number of times this transient state J is passed through before absorption. Is that clear? I hope the difference between the two is clear. So that if you look at matrix E, okay, you will see here that if you are on the first row, okay, this is actually your D1, meaning if I add, okay, if I add all of these values here, E11, E12, and so on, I would now have my source transient state as 1 always because I am in row 1, meaning I'm always coming from transient state 1, and I will now count the number of times I will pass through transient state 1 myself, the number of times I will pass through transient state 2, the number of times I will pass through transient state 3, and then I will add all of them to get the total number of transitions or total number of times I would have to pass through all the other transient states to before getting absorbed. Okay, so therefore, the formula for di, as you can see, okay, let me write it. The formula for di is simply the summation of Eij, where you actually take into account all the possible transient states that you can pass through before getting absorbed. Okay, so if it's D1, then the formula is just summation of E1J, which is exactly the first row. If it's D2, then it's E2, all the E2s, and then you add the J's, 1, 2, and so on. So all the E2 J's. Okay, so therefore, this is the formula, and I hope you understand the difference between DI and EIJ. Okay, so let's look at the left side of our screen and let's try to see this transition matrix. Of course, in this transition matrix, uh, the states have already been arranged according to transient state and absorbing state. Again, remember, the upper part will be your transient states. The lower part will be your absorbing states. So the technique is to identify which are your absorbing states first, because that's the easiest to see, where the portion of the matrix where you see a 100% probability would correspond to your absorbing states. So since we know that 3 and 4 are absorbing, we put them here, and we know that those that are not absorbing are transient states, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you arrange, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, these two are transient, these two are transient, these two are absorbing. So just copying the matrix on the left side of your screen, you have 1/4, 1/4, 1/2, 0, then 1/3, 1/3, 0, 1/3, and then 0, 0, 1, 0, and 0, 0, 0, 1. So as you can see, once you arrange your transient and your absorbing states accordingly, take note, these two are transient, these two are absorbing, okay? And 1, 2, 3, 4 on top, you know what they are, okay? Transient and absorbing, okay? So once you arrange, automatically you will be able to divide your whole transition matrix into 4 quadrants. Okay, and it's very easy to see that this is your subquadrant O. This is your subquadrant identity matrix. Okay, this is your subquadrant Q, and this is your subquadrant R. Okay, so this is your R, this is your Q, this is your O, and this is your I. Okay, so the first step in solving absorbing Markov chain problems is to always identify what your transient states in the problem are and what your absorbing states are, and arrange them according to this pattern, according to this matrix, and then identify the submatrices Q, R, O, and I. So once you have done that, okay, you are in a better position to solve your problems. Okay, so let me see. Okay, for you to understand this matrix, let's try to look at this diagram. Okay, try to look at this diagram. So you will see that if I put this transition matrix into transition diagram, you will see that 1 will go back to itself, okay, 1 to 1, no? With a 1/4 probability, okay? And then 1, there's a chance that 1 will move to transient state 1 will move to transient state 2 with, okay, here, with a 1/4 probability, okay? Then transient state 2 will move to transient state 1 with a 1/3 probability here. And then it will return to itself with a 1/3 probability. Okay, so the diagram on the left side is clear. So now you will see that states 1 and 2 are transient, and their possible transitions include returning back to themselves or moving. In the case of transient state 1, it can move to 2, it can go back to itself, okay, it can move to 2, from 2 it can go back to itself, okay, it can move to 2, it can go back to itself, it can stay with 2, as 2 can loop back to itself. So the movement or the transition can actually be between 1 and 2 several times before eventually, because there's a probability of moving from 2 to 4 and moving from 1 to 3, eventually you will see that 1 to 3, okay, 1 to 3 has a probability of 1/2, okay, and 2 to 4 has a probability, 2 to 4 has a probability of 1/3, okay, which is this one. So what we're saying is we can actually count the number of transitions between two transient states here, 1 and 2, before it finally gets absorbed into either 4 or 3. So if you look at the description here on the right side, 1 and 2 are transient. Ultimately, 1 and 2 will have to enter 3 and 4. And when they do, they will never be able to go back to 1 and 2. They will be absorbed in 3 and 4. So if chances determine that 3 is entered, then it will never have the chance to go to absorbing state 4. 4 will never occur. Okay? So again, you will see that we can actually calculate, okay, if you are in transient state 1 right now, you can actually calculate the number of times, okay, the number of times you go back and forth here between 1 and 2, the number of times that you would have to pass through 2, go back, pass through 2, go back, pass through 2 again, until finally being absorbed by 4. Okay, or there's another possibility. You can go from transient state 1, you can go to transient state 2, okay? Go back to transient state 2, go back to 1, go back to 2. So what you're counting is how many times did you pass through 2 before being absorbed. Now, being absorbed doesn't mean being absorbed into absorbing state 4. You can also be absorbed into absorbing state 3. Okay, it's because from 2 you can go back to 1, and then from 1 you can be absorbed in 3. Okay, but the point of EIJ, okay, EIJ, E12, for example, is you're counting how many times you pass through 2 before finally being absorbed in either 3 or 4. Okay, in the same way, E21 means that you're coming from transient state 2 and you're counting how many times, if you're in transient state 2, how many times do you go back and forth do you pass through transient state 1 before finally being absorbed in either absorbing state 3 and 4. So that's what we're counting, okay, for the ease.